Some BIM awards, you saw the Singapore Stadium. I just want to show you one that's a particular favourite of mine actually. This has got nothing to do with anything except it's one of the projects that we were involved with. It actually won the BIM awards last year for Europe, so I'll give you an idea of the kind of stuff that gets done. It's not actually, there's no other piece of it lit up at night, but at night we've got lights inside them as well that look really, really spectacular. So that's one of my favourite little sculptures. In fact, there they are, look, if it'll load up. Just see if it'll load for us. I don't want to spend too much time on this because it's got nothing to do with version 21, by the way. But again, I think we might be struggling with the internet time here. Okay, so you'll have to excuse me for a few of these presentations because I need to sit down. I'll actually just pause that. Hopefully it'll load while waiting. I'm going to just go back first of all to model sharing. Let's start with that. I'm going to just show a very, very short version of model sharing. And let me just pause that at the beginning. As everyone here must use multi-user at some point. Do you ever use multi-user in Tekla? The principles are pretty much similar. Okay, so think of it, it's like multi-user, but what you're doing is you're sharing the model over the cloud. So rather than the model being stored on a server in your company, they're actually stored on the cloud, actually a server in Tekla head office. Now, it's completely private. We don't have access to your model. You can't take a copy and sell it to somebody. So it's completely private and stored, and you've got all the sort of benefits of that as well. So this was a real thing that I did. I was actually in a hotel room in Jakarta on a really, really rubbish internet connection. Very, very bad internet connection. My friend Simon was in the UK, and I said, okay, let's try this. Let's have a look at it, see how it works. When you install version 21, before I play that video, minimize that down, you'll see you've got these new icons across the top. This is to start the model sharing. This is your list of shared models, and this is sort of read in, read out, and who's working on the model. Okay, so when you install 21, you'll see this new set of icons. They'll just appear automatically. Okay, so what happened was, I recorded myself doing this. You can see I've created a new model, single user. That's my friend in England. Not a pretty sight. And there he is, just for communication, he's just speaking to me on MSN, but it could have been Skype or anything, it doesn't matter. So I created a new model. I just built up a simple little model, so I put some columns in here, I put some base plates on it, and added some beams as well. So there, we'll do that, put some base plates on, nothing too dramatic. I just want to see how this was actually going to work. So put the base plates on, save that model, like so. And then what I did was I shared that model. Now let me just pause that again, just before I go any further. So I did it, just give it a code, that's just an internal number. It's just saying it's the first time I've shared it. Okay, so just like you do with multi-user actually. And then what you do is you say, who am I going to invite? So you type in the email address of the person you want to share the model with. And then he receives an email giving him the link which he clicks on so he can access the model in the cloud. So it's really simple actually. So again, you can see there I'm sent it to my friend automatically. I'm not going to send him a message. I just said, okay, start it. What it does now then is it takes a copy of that model and places it on the cloud. Okay, so rather than being stored on a server. The benefits of that, of course, is that it's on our server and we actually are automatically backing them up for you as well. So there's a backup occurring all the time. So if you have a major catastrophe, there's always going to be backup of the cloud model done by us. You can see then that I'm working on it, I'm the owner of that. Simon's joining me and he's an editor, so he can work on that model, he can add, he can delete, he can modify. But you can also have people who are just viewers, such as checkers, so they can just view the model. Okay, let's just start this going again. Now, when Simon actually accesses that model, let me just close that. When he actually accesses that model, what happens is, it makes a copy of that model onto his PC. A copy of that moment in time. So he gets a copy of the model. When he changes it, it uploads the changes to the cloud. So each person has got a local copy of the model. In multi-user, each person is accessing the model over the network. So that means that I can take my laptop home, offline, work, come to work the next day and upload it. Yeah? With me so far? Sorry if I'm speaking English too quickly, by the way. So there we go, so I've told Simon I'm in Jakarta, I'm sharing the model with him, so I'm going to continue to work on that while he's also working on the model himself. So just simply add some beams, like this. Add the connections, no big deal, just your general stuff. So that's the connections added, and then again I'm going to say, okay, write out my changes to the cloud. So update the model in the cloud with my changes, like so. Okay, so let's wrote that out. That's my changes. Right, now what happens then, I want to bring in the changes that my colleagues made. So if you look then, what we do is we go up here, and that's how I'm going to say, bring in your changes. So it says, made some changes, read them in. So I go to my menu at the top, and we say, read in the changes. And then it reads in the updated model from the cloud. And this was live, by the way, live recording, so you can see how long it was taking. And then you can see there, look, it shows me what's come in, who did the modification, added objects, assemblies, obviously the same colour coding, red is deleted, yellow is changed, green is new. So you can see the pieces they added onto that. So it's very similar to your multi-user, except you're just storing it on the cloud. It's a really, really new, exciting way for us to work. That really means then we can share these models to anyone, give anyone access to the models so they can work on them. Okay? Nice and simple. Well, I think so. And actually, I'd never used that before. Okay, so the first time I did that, it was quite, I thought, okay, write out. I mean, it's easy enough to work out, very simple. Okay, so all these videos here, including that, they're all stored. So you're welcome. I'll give these to my colleagues in Vietnam, and they'll be able to get a copy of these videos if you want to get a copy, including the PowerPoint I'm going to show as well. Okay, now, the last time I did this presentation, I actually ran out of time because there's quite a lot to show. So rather than show the little bits that are not too interesting, I'm going to concentrate on the most interesting parts that are better for you with productivity. So you'll have to excuse me for some of these. I need to sit down so I can show this in more detail. For anyone that doesn't know me, by the way, my name is Vic Hodgson. I'm Technical Manager for Tekla Finland. And although I'm not Finnish, I still live in England. And I'm from Manchester. So the question, Manchester United or Manchester City? Yeah, which one? Actually, I don't like football. So there we go. So let me sit down for the next part, so I can drive this a little bit better. Now, some of these things I'm going to show, yeah, there we go. Some of these things I'm going to show actually require an internet connection, so hopefully we should be okay with this. So, as we explained then, what we've got is the videos which you can get download of. There's lots of other things. Comes already explained about the Tekla warehouse, the model sharing, and the other new features of the online environment. So I'm going to skip that through. We can go straight into modelling. So let's take a look. So first of all, if I just take a window around here, let's take a look at where I am. If I take a look, you can see here, I've purposely made a clash here where the bolt is close to that edge. So when you do the clash detection now, so if I put a window around these objects here, and we'll say do a clash detection, and we run that, one of the things it will do is it shows you a little bounding box, so you can see then that the volume, it's indicating that the bolt is within this sort of tolerance, or it's outside the tolerance of the bolt, so that means it's difficult to get that in. So we now not just have clashes, you can actually as well see specifically what it is, the area that's actually clashing, so it's more visual for you to see exactly what's happening in there with the clashes. That actually came in version 20.1, I believe, but even so, it's still an interesting little feature. The other thing which a lot of people are not too aware of is the direct modification. Now let me just come out of here, let me go to plan view, and let me draw a plate first of all, a simple plate, poly plate. So I'm going to say let's create a plate around this area here. Now if you click on that plate, it's the same as before. If you do a Control D and then click on the plate, you then get the edges. So then you can drag these edges to be another size, like so. Or you can pick up edges and move it so you can reshape this plate to be any shape that you wish by dragging it. That's direct manipulation. Okay. All of the system is moving more towards that way of working. So rather than you actually, so let's say there's a hole in that plate. So I'm going to cut a hole in this plate. I'll just do the 3 point 3-point, 3-point, and I'll just cut a hole like that. Even with the cuttings like the holes, you can click on that and say, I want to make this bigger. I want to make that a square. So you can drag it to be another shape more easily than before. Okay, so all the systems working in that way. If you're inserting custom components, such as, for example, if I go here and I say, look, I've got a custom component for a stair tread, or it could be a staircase or anything. When you put it in here, you can see then which direction it's going to go in. So if you want to go there, they can say, I want to put it in this direction. This is all direct modification. Okay, and all the system is moving more and more towards that way of working. So rather than you typing in the size, you just draw it and you can stretch it to the size that you want. So it's a really nice, easy way of working. If I draw a beam in here, so let's just draw a regular beam. Even the beam like so, if you click on it, you can just drag it to be another shape, another length look like so. So it's a nice, easy way of working. Okay, the other thing, I'm just going to turn that off for the moment. I probably might have shown this last year, but again, a lot of thing is the mini toolbar. Okay, most people turn off the mini toolbar because they don't like it and it gets in the way. Me too, I didn't like it. Okay, but if you click on a piece like so, for example, you can come to here and you can say, look, I want to change the rotation. So you can rotate it where you want. You can set about where the edge of steel is. So it's much more easy than trying to figure out left, top, back, who knows, you know? It's a mystery. It's a mystery to me what these mean, okay? So if we come to here, if we change this, let's say, into a plate, so PL, let me just make capitals on this. So let's go to this one. PL, let's say 300 by 50. So now it's a plate. So it's much easier to set these up and say, look, that plate, I want it to be about this edge, the edge, the centre, or the side, like so, and it's at that rotation. So it's a much easier way of working. So don't dismiss the mini toolbar, okay? So the first thing I did when it came to it, I turned it off as well. I didn't like it. So if you turn it off, take a look at it again. It's especially useful if you're working on things like angles, like an RSA odd size, like this, where you can very then quickly set it up about the centre of gravity or where it needs to be, look. So it's easy for this kind of thing. Okay, so bear that in mind. Oh yeah, direct modification, that's where I was going, wasn't it? With the direct modification, where I can pick up the different plates, so again, remember, Control D turns it on. Control D turns it off. So it's very easy to go from one to the other. Now if I put in here, let's say, construction circle, so we'll just go modelling, we'll say create a circle, just using the centre point, nothing, no big deal. Just something very quick, and we'll say put it there like that. So it goes construction circle. Same thing, with the direct modification now, you can pick that up and drag it to be any size as well. So you can quickly see the radius. Same if you draw a construction line, let's say a line from there to the 3-point of there. Click on that, again you can pick this up and you can drag it down to be any size like that. It also works for the grid lines actually, so you can pick the grid lines and move the grid lines. So any object now is beginning to move more towards this. You need to say the individual grid line actually, but if you click on it, the individual grid lines just move them with control. Okay? So bear that in mind because all the system is moving more towards that way of working. It really comes from the concrete side of things, but like a lot of the development that's done for concrete, it actually sometimes works better for steel. So you know, some of this stuff really comes over nicely to us. Right. The other thing, which I'm going to just take a quick look at, is reference models. This model here is actually from Revit actually. This is a Revit model that somebody gave me, a real project. This is a Revit model, like this. Now, if you look at the side, all the reference models now are handling the same way as what you'd handle, like, it's like BIMsight interface. So if you double click on this, you can see it will show you more details about this. So anything you want to see, you can just quickly open it up. Let's give it a second. Well, it loads up. There we are. So you can go to the layers, for example. Just expand those, and you can say, look, I don't want to see that layer. Again, it's a big model, so I'm not cheating, it's a real size model. So it takes a few seconds to turn it off. So I can turn off the layers much more quickly in this area here. So as I do this, you'll see it actually happening. So there, look, so you can see now how that's changed. So all the reference models now are in this plane, so you don't have the several 5 or 6 commands for handling reference objects. They're all in one standard interface. Right, let me just come out of here, because what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to delete that. So I don't want it. Okay, now that's gone. The reason I looked at reference objects first of all is because I'm going to talk now. I'm going to jump to something else. We're going to talk about SketchUp integration. Now, SketchUp is actually owned by the company that owns Tekla. Okay, so we've got a really tight, good new link to SketchUp. But why is that important to you guys? Why would you care? Okay, right. If you go to SketchUp, and this is the free version of SketchUp, okay? Let's say I'm doing a building. And on my building, I want to put in, let's say, a roller shutter door. Okay, and let's say this building is a gymnasium. I'd like to put in a running machine and a rowing machine, just as a sort of visualization. Okay, or maybe it's a gasworks, I need a pressure vessel, or some pipe work, or a valve. Anything you want is available through the SketchUp warehouse. So any item you can possibly think of is already available in the SketchUp warehouse. Now, I need the connection to the internet here. The internet is not very fast, so this has nothing to do with SketchUp or Tekla, it's the internet speed. So if we go to here, you can think of any object you can think of, anything. It'll be there, ready for you. So it saves you making, and then you can bring those into the Tekla model, and you can utilize them. But this, you can go a little bit deeper than that. I told you the internet connection was lousy. So just wait for this to load up. If it doesn't load, I'll actually show you one I've already put in there. Okay, so let's say then, roller, shutter, door. Okay, so show me all the examples of roller shutter door. Yeah. And these are the ones that's available. You don't just get an example. There's all the variations, different types. There's everything you could possibly want in here. So you can see a roller shutter door in here, like this. So you think about it, if you're working in an amusement park, there's buildings, there's all kinds of stuff. So if we say, I'll use this sliding roller shutter door, we'll say bring that into the SketchUp model, like so. It downloads it. If you've got a good internet connection, it's even quick. Okay, and it loads it into here. Obviously it's going to take a while, that one, so I'm not going to take too much time. I'll come back to that one. When you've got the model, what you do then is you come to your reference model list, and then you say add a model, and then we look for this, and these are real ones. So let's come to here, and we'll say, okay, look, I've got some SketchUp models. There we are. These are ones I've been downloading as I've been showing this around the world. Okay, so I'm running out of examples what to think to bring in actually. But if we say I want to bring the hopper, or we've got a motor, or we've got a door, or a racking system, or what the heck is that? That's a conveyor, or a door, all these different things. So let's just bring in, let's say, a hopper. So we'll bring that in, like that. We'll add it into there. It then puts it into there. You can see that's my hopper then brought in. So that's a SketchUp model brought into there, which I can then bring in and work around as an object. So you can bring anything you want into Tekla. Please, that is just a representation of something you want to work around. Now sometimes what you have is you have objects that you want to put in there and you like the quantity of objects. Okay? So if you... Great, isn't it? Let me just close that down. The software update, it's incredible. What a time to pop up. Right, so if we think about this SketchUp model which is still loading in, so I'll ignore that one again. You've got this create item. This actually came in last year, okay? But if you try to bring anything from SketchUp, it never actually worked very well. So if you say create an item, what you can say is you can say bring in a SketchUp item. So if I say look here, I'm going to import in, again, I'll put the examples I had earlier. So let's say, where are we, SketchUp models. And let's say I want to bring in that door. It's like a ship door, so it's a metal door I want to bring in. So So we'll say, okay, let's bring that in. Then what it is already exists, so overwrite it. I've done this for example. So what it does then, it takes that SketchUp model and converts it into a Tekla solid. Okay? Then we can say okay to that. So I'm now going to say shape, bring in my door, okay, apply okay, and then we're going to bring it in and say I want to put it in that point there to that point there. And what it does, look, is it draws in that SketchUp object. And that actually now is a Tekla object. I can't break it down into what it's made from, but it's one solid object. So actually I can create a drawing of that door, and I can actually create a material list. So if you've got like roller shutter doors, you can say I've got 3 roller shutter doors required. Yeah? So again, if you go to that now, look, you can click on that and say, give me, let me just do this right. We can click on this, go to the drawing production, and say, give me a drawing of that door. Bear in mind, I cannot break it down into the components it's made from. It is one object. But the possibilities for that are endless. You can also bring in objects from AutoCAD, anything really. So say, create me a single part of that, go ahead, number it, see because it's numbered because it's a real object. It'll bring it into there for you. Then it'll create the drawing of the door. Well, it's creating that. See how this is still downloading. Don't rubbish internet connection. Okay, so it's creating the drawing of the door. I'll just show you that. Ignore that. You can see, look, that's the drawing of the door, look like so. It's a single part drawing, yeah? And you can remove the hidden line, you can do what you want. Now, if you use your imagination on that, I mean, it could be maybe you're doing a conveyor system, you can put motors on the conveyor system. You can put, like I said, roller shutters in, you can put louvers. Somebody asked me about louvers in there. So really, the possibilities are actually endless. While I'm in here, actually, as well, I'll show you another new feature. If we just click on this. Just try and find that boundary box for that. You've also as well now got, rather than all the different drawing options, you've now got a more simplified interface for editing the drawing, where you can say, look, I want to make that drawing a scale of 1 to 10. And if we go to parts, we can say, I don't want any hidden lines on there. So I'm going to quickly just modify that door, so it's now a scale of 1 to 10, come out of there with no hidden lines. So there, that is a real drawing of the door now, like so. Okay, so the actual interface of the drawing production is simplified as well for editing it. So it's a really, really nice way of working. And again, if you take a look at some of the examples I did, so you go to the item here, for example, louvre. Okay, so I've got a louvre that goes from, which is a French word by the way. Modify, let me just go to this. In fact, actually, let me just do that, apply okay. So there, that's actually a door. Ah, there we are. So that's a louvre look, which is a lovely French word for a sort of window blind. There you go. Right? And these are objects, you can cut around them, so you can treat them like any Tekla objects. If you want to cut a shape around them, you can cut around them and use them. One last thing from SketchUp, which I need this to load in before I can show you. I'll come back to that. We can also take the model from Tekla into SketchUp. And when that's done loading in, I'll show you why we can do that. So there's some really, really nice stuff here. So again, look, for example, here's some oil tanks I brought in with the valves to work around. There's the louvre. That's a motor I brought in using the item. Or you can bring it as just reference objects. I think really the possibilities for that are kind of endless, to be honest. Right, well that's running through. What I'm going to do then is let's come back here and look at some other stuff. Right, there is a beam with very heavy, with splice plates on it. Here's another one like this, like so. Now typically what happens, I'll just do a control V. Right, if that was built, at the moment, as you can see, that's a 106-305. But let's say I want that to be made from plates, 3 plates, a built-up beam. Okay? Now, if I want to make that from a built-up beam, I have to put 3 plates in there, so let's do one. So I'm going to do a built-up beam, so I'm going to say, okay, I want to do a piece that goes from there to the middle of there. I'm going to click on that. It's a PL, let's say 300 by 30. That's like that, and then we've got to say, okay, let's rotate that round. okay, like this, and put it at the top and bottom, and copy, mirror, and draw a plate between it. It's a very, very long job, okay? And then none of the components work, so you're going to make every component manually as well. Right, in version 21, this is the most excellent command ever, right? My absolute favourite ever designed. What you can do now is there's a command here which you can download from the warehouse, which is called beams to plates. Right, there it is, look, command. You can say what your profile prefixes are. Let me just change this so it's locked. Then what we say is we say, okay, look, run that command, select the piece, so I want that one, and that one, and then if you press the middle mouse button, it actually converts them into plates. So that now, look, is now built from 3 separate plates, look. And it keeps all the connections and everything. And it's an assembly. So if you click on that, it's an assembly. So if we click on this now and just change the colour, you can see, look, that is 3 plates. So if you're doing built-up plates, make them as beams, put all the connections on, then say, right, now convert it into a built-up beam. Right, and that'll save you so much work, it's incredible. Right? It also works for curves. So if you're doing curved beams like this, you can say, look, I want to convert this into a built-up beam. And look, it's even converted that plate, that beam, curve. Right, it has to be a polybeam curve, not a curve. Okay, that doesn't work. Same way if we come up here like this, where are we? Let's take a look. On here, you can see I've already done some of these. These are actually already. Let me just put the H key. So you can see, look, these are already converted. This one is not. So you can say convert that into a built-up beam. Look, it runs through. It keeps all the connections, all the notches, all the work you've done, manual or component. It keeps it. Really excellent command. Seriously, one of the best ones we've put in there for ages. Okay, so other thing then, if we go to clip planes, you know clipping planes, right? You say I want to do a clip plane on here, and then what we'll do is we'll zoom up there and we'll start to clip plane. Okay, clip planes are really nice, but they're good for viewing, but they're really useless. You know, all you do is clip and you can view. Now what you can do is you can snap to the clips. So if you come here and say, look, on here, objects, you say I want to draw a plate. So now you can say I want to draw a plate. See how you've got 2 grey snaps, you can snap to there. So there, like that. Now perpendicular to that edge, like that. Down to there, so you can draw a plate on that point. So you can measure, you can clip, you can work in that real area like so. Yeah? Right. That's been asked for a long time. There's people say they want to go through and be able to measure with a clip. So that now is there, and you can drag the clips to a specific plane as well. Alright, so these stuff that we've been asked for a long, long time, this kind of stuff. While I'm here, I'm going to just show you another command that a lot of people don't know about, and it's quite useful command. If you go to, where are we? My little run command. I can't find it for looking now, where are we? So anyway, so tools, macros. There, this macros here. Gives you a list of these very bizarre looking commands. There's one here which is called create surface view. Now I appreciate a lot of you might know this command, but if you don't know this command, it is a fantastic, really